We're only 3 days into the Switch 2 launch, and there's already a hidden gem, one I'm convinced too many people are missing because, well, I see no one talking about it. It's easy to lose sight of smaller titles when the conversation is dominated by the biggest blockbusters and franchise updates, but this one, it's worth paying attention to. The game I'm talking about is Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess. It is Capcom at their experimental best, a game I first played on PlayStation 5, and yeah, it made an impression there, but here on the Switch 2, it's found a home that feels, well, for me, perfect. So today, I'm going to be breaking down what you can expect, as well as performance, the visuals, the experience in handheld, and audio. Now, if you do find this helpful, consider subscribing. I'm a smaller channel, so every bit of support really helps, and I've been at this now for 7 years. Hundreds of Switch 1 reviews, deals, news, all that good stuff, and we're only just getting warmed up. So yeah, basically, do me a favor, join us for the ride. A bit of history then. Kunitsu-Gami first released in 2024 on PlayStation, Xbox and Steam, though I will say it landed with little fanfare. Reports at the time suggested sales didn't meet expectations. I'm hoping the Switch 2's player base can change that because, my god, is this game unique. So let's talk about narrative first. It's pretty brief, but it sets the stage. You're guiding a divine maiden on a pilgrimage to cleanse corrupted lands and push back the yokai that threaten the world. It's mythic, a little cryptic, but that simplicity actually works in its favor. It's more a mood than a story beat by beat. It's there to frame the experience, not weigh it down. Now, gameplay is where it really shines. On the surface, it's an action game. You're slicing through yokai with swift, deliberate combat, but layered into that is a real-time strategy element, so basically managing your followers, assigning them to defend choke points, or bolstering your attack so you can escort the maiden forwards. The stages themselves then add a whole new dynamic. By day, you're cleansing these mystical locations, saving villagers who become your support army. You'll be building things like barriers as defensive lines, and you'll be guiding that maiden to these mystical gateways. They're torii gates, portals of sorts. Cleansing them isn't just the mission, it turns then each location into a base. Now, I will say here, this is not an open world experience. This is level by level. You come into it, you overcome it, it turns into a base. You get basically an overworld map, and you move on to the next one. Where things get really interesting though with these levels is when night falls, everything changes. Enemies surge forward, and it's you and your band of warriors standing between the maiden and annihilation. Each stage basically becomes a balancing act, cleansing the land, gathering resources, and then defending your position when darkness comes. The depth then keeps coming too. Once you turn these locations into bases, you can do quite a lot there. Think repairing different areas for rewards. You can level up your units or even your individual lead character. There's really a lot to dig into. You think individual skill trees for your units or assigning new equipment and abilities to your leads. That can be things like a move to break through shields or the power to instantly teleport to the maiden's side if she is in trouble. It all sounds complex, and in some ways, honestly, it is. But when it clicks, it is just so damn rewarding. Capping off each location then are the boss fights, these massive showdowns that either push your combat skills or test your puzzle-solving abilities. Some bosses, pure brute force, while others, they force you to find clever ways to exploit weaknesses. They're a great way to end each location on a high note, and it really keeps things, I guess, moving and feeling fresh. It's not just the same loop over and over again. And that's really the magic here. It's so many different parts: real-time combat, unit positioning, tower defense, working on barriers to slow down foes, managing a hub location. It's a dance, but when you find the rhythm, it's so rewarding. It's a mix I've, in fact, never quite seen before. And for me, it's what makes Kunitsu-Gami feel so special. Performance on the Nintendo Switch 2 then, let's talk about it. Unfortunately, it's not locked 60 FPS. Instead, it's running in that 30 to 40 range. But here's the thing, the implementation is really well done that it barely matters. For the most part, it holds at 40, and even when it does waver, it feels incredibly smooth. Unit placement and movement are responsive, no stutters or hiccups that might trip up your precision, when you're directing units in the heat of battle. And the action combat then itself is snappy and reactive. And since it is combo-based, that responsiveness is essential. Now, I know some might complain it's not 60, it's not perfect, But honestly, what they've delivered here feels stable, and for me, and I think for most players, it's gonna feel more than fine. In relation to the Switch 2 then as well, the game does feature mouse controls. Now I use them very briefly. I'm not sure I'm actually a fan of the whole mouse implementation, mainly because of the size of the Joy-Con. But here, it doesn't do as much as I expected. I thought it would be for unit placement and so on. In fact, what it is actually just simply controlling the camera and then also operating menus. Now, that doesn't sound like a bad thing, but the problem with this game, in my opinion, is you're using all of those face buttons and triggers, and it does become a little bit tricky in combat when all of your actions are actually attached to that same Joy-Con. And for me, probably won't be moving forward with it, but if it is something you want to experiment with, the feature is here. The audio-visual design then is truly where I think Kunitsu-Gami comes into its own. The art is influenced by traditional Japanese folklore and art. Think delicate brushstrokes and sweeping mythic landscapes, and it is just beautiful. The enemies as well, incredibly creepy. The environments, whether it's open fields, small villages, or twisting caves, I think they all look stunning. It's not just for show either. The way the visuals tie directly into gameplay, like lighting lanterns to let your army just engage with enemies that they can see. It's smart, and the level of detail in the world, it just impressed. Now, I will admit on the Switch 2 docked, the image is a little bit soft, but despite that, it performs incredibly well, and it never takes away from just how good the art direction is. What really seals the deal though is the audio. The sound effects here are solid. Nice and weighty, very clean, but it's the music that's the real winner. I think it is stunning. The whole experience is actually steeped in this dance motif, the maiden, your combat, it all feels like a choreographed performance, and the music really drives that home. So look, even if you don't pick up the game, I'd say at least check out the soundtrack because it is genuinely special. Handheld then, and it very much reflects the docked experience, at least in these early levels that I've played so far. The frame rate is in the same ballpark with no noticeable fluctuations, and visually, the image is still on the soft side, even on a smaller screen, so it means some of the finer detail, yeah, I guess it's a little harder to make out. But overall, still looks great and holds up well. So the final thoughts, and I do want to say I wouldn't call this a full review. I've only played the opening couple of hours here on the Switch 2, but given my time with the build and the fact I played it fully on PlayStation before, I just had to give this one some love when I'm seeing basically none. But yeah, what can I say? Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess is genuinely something special. It's a hidden gem that too many people are overlooking right now, and I think it deserves better. The unique blend of real-time combat and strategy, the rhythm of cleansing during the day and defending at night. Just again, I keep on saying this, unlike anything else out there. On top of this, the art and audio, stunning. And the Switch 2 build itself, it might not hit 60, but it's smooth, it's stable, and it feels right. So yeah, look, I will have a full review down the line, but for now, if you are curious, I'd say don't sleep on this one. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you're picking it up, because I hope a few of you will. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, again, do me a favor, subscribe, helps out the channel a huge amount, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers all.